Hi, it's Lee from ColouringQueen.net, and if you know me, you'll know how happy I am today. I am having my very own fairy celebration. This is the latest colouring book from a Czech illustrator and jewellery designer Klara Markova, and it's called Fairy Celebrations, and it is absolutely stunning. My book arrived yesterday afternoon, and I spent all of yesterday afternoon and all of the evening just drooling over all of the pictures and trying not to get the pages dirty before I filmed it. So as you can see, it's got some lovely gold foiling on it, which is always a feature in Klara's books. Beautiful gold tooling there on the spine. Gorgeous front cover again with the lovely gold highlights on it, and of course it is hardback and cloth bound down the side, which is the same format as all of her books, which this one is. First of all, we had Magical Delights, then we had Tenderful Enchantments, Fairy Miracles, and now Fairy Celebrations. If you are not familiar with Klara's work, the sizing is, hello Millie, yes, hello Millie. The sizing is a bit smaller than a Joanna Basford style book, but a bit taller in length, and it is a lot thicker. Unlike Joanna's books, it's a hardback though. And Millie would love to show you her fairy book. As soon as I put it on the desk this morning, she was there sitting on it. So at least it got her off the lounge for a while. So just like all her books, it is absolutely stunning. Yes, Millie, there is a picture of you in here. Can we show everyone? And it's beautifully packaged. So you get it inside a cardboard outer. Then there is a plastic bag that it's in, and it's wrapped in bubble wrap. Now, unlike her previous bookmarks, this one's actually a lot wider, and it's been die cut, so a lot of extra effort and work has gone into this bookmark, which is a great way to, just get yourself started and ease into it. Would you like the bookmark? Okay. Well, we'll put the bookmark aside, Millie, and maybe you can colour it in later. Okay? Yes, that's your book. Okay, fair enough. I know what you want for Christmas then. Shall we show everyone else the book? So we've got lovely black protective paper at the front. And then this gorgeous little fairy house. Now, Millie, you are going to have to let go of the book. And she is purring, and Klara has autographed it. Yes, that's Klara's signature, it's not yours. So this is a great way to test out your mediums if you want to do that before you dive in. And I'll be testing out my mediums and watercolors and Inktense on it at the end of this review. So we've got a little bit about Klara at the beginning, about her jewellery designing and how she's returned to jewellery, and her love of, food and flowers and all things pretty. And that really comes out in Klara's work. So I've got this first nameplate page, and I've been thinking about doing this all in sort of pinks and sort of like an applique of my name just there. But you don't even have to do that because the lines are so subtle for the nameplate page there. You could just make it into a handbag. And what I really love is that on every facing page, Klara always has a couple of elements there that you can colour. Now these are repeated throughout the book, but they're great ways to practice your colour combos or just practice with different mediums before you dive into the whole page. And it really gives the book a real sense of class. Now this is the cover art picture, which is just stunning, and I am dying to colour that one. And the paper in all of Klara's books is just beautiful, and it's the same throughout all of the books. Now, these are always released in a Czech edition and an English edition. I've been collecting both of them, so I have all the Czech books as an art book that I'm going to keep untouched, and the English books are the ones that I'll colour in. So you can write, if you like, your name and the date, or what colours you used, or thoughts about what you felt when you coloured this in over on this side over here, if you wanted to. Now, this book is just gorgeous. All of Klara's books are gorgeous. Honestly, I couldn't choose one of them that I love more than the other. But I think in this book that Klara has really expanded her work. A lot of the pictures seem a lot more detailed and more full scenes than in her other books. I could be wrong. I'd have to probably get them all out and line them up and, look at them side by side. But to me, they seem to have an expansion on her previous works, so they seem to have more detail and more elements in each picture and more comprehensive little scenes. But the great thing about them is just the whimsy. They are so incredibly whimsical and cute. Like, look at this, aren't they gorgeous? And then you've got all these beautiful flowers to colour. There is just so many different things that you can do with Klara's work. And she's the only artist out of all of my colouring books that actually makes me teary when I see her work. It just makes me really emotional, and I've said that before, and I don't know why it is. And I keep looking around the garden for these fairies thinking, maybe they're making me cry, but I don't know what it is. It's just so cute and whimsical and sweet and innocent, all at once. It's just gorgeous. So we've got lots and lots of cakes and sweets to colour in. We've got beautiful wooden elements and flowers on every picture. And look at these macaroons. And of course lots of gorgeous little mushrooms, fairies and fairy houses in the book. It's just stunning. So I spent ages last night trying to work out which picture I would like to colour in first, and that's just really hard, because once you colour it, then, you either have to get another book to colour it again if you want to colour the same picture again. So it's really hard because once it's done, it's over and it'll end. And I don't want it to end. I don't know if anyone else is weird like me like that, but yeah, I hate it when it ends. I hate it when even the book flip through ends. So there's 112 pages here, and it's all a beautiful medium to heavy creamy coloured paper. And the other thing that Klara does that is just so gorgeous is that she creates these little fairy doors that you can cut out of the book and use in the little fairy houses so that they're interactive and you can open and close the doors. And that is in all of her colouring books, which is just adorable. I don't know if I could ever cut out a page from one of Klara's books. There's 112 pages in this one, including those fairy doors. But unlike most books, you've also got this side as well where you can practice those little elements or test out your mediums and whatnot. So aren't they cute? We've got underwater scenes, beautiful little bottles, and variety of flowers, and even underwater little houses which are just adorable. These little seahorses. Yeah, so many opportunities to do different things. Got underwater fairies. Looks like she's in her night dress, and even a sleepy little seahorse. It's just got a real imagination. You've got these candles, and yet you've got the fish, and yeah, I don't know how she thinks of these things, really. And then we've got our two little mermaids and our little octopus, and he's got his little pillow. And look, a little love heart necklace there. There's so many little tiny details. So we've got a lot of dark line art, which is what Klara generally does, which is very easy to see. But you'll also see a lot of light artwork to show the shading and to show if it's in the background rather than in the foreground. And like a lot of our overseas artists, Klara uses quite a lot of little tiny dots, pointillism, or little tiny texture marks. And these are really helpful for shading so that you know where the colours are darker and whatnot. And so we've got our gorgeous little mermaid here, and she's got her tail tied up in a bow, and she's got her dress over there if she wants to pop that on and maybe go out for the night. I don't know, do mermaids do that? So look at this little cutie, he's having a swing. But it makes you wonder always, you know, what goes on, you know, in your garden. Are there actually little fairies there and critters having a little swing? And yeah, I love the whimsy of Klara's books. So here we've got the little sewing kit, and she's got her little pink cushion over there. So even fairies have to do a bit of mending. These beautiful little candles. Gorgeous little caterpillar. So many cute little critters. And look at this, how they've made the little ladder up to their little sleeping pods. And they've got little Teddy, and Teddy's got his own bed. I mean, how cute's that? I love this picture as well. Look at this giant cake on a trolley. And we've got another cake, bundt cake, cooling off in the window. I love all the artwork that Klara does. There's never been a picture that I've gone, don't really like that one, I'll give that a pass. I love every single thing that she does. She's just amazing. Her imagination is just amazing. It's like she lives in this little fairy world. And look at our gorgeous little critters all asleep. Our little mouse asleep, and our little puppies asleep. And look, a little baby fairy asleep. Aren't they lovely? Yeah, a little lollipop with flowers and a ladybug on it. There's so many cute things to look at. And I was saying the other day that I don't know if many people read it, but I wish a lot more artists would take a year to do a high quality colouring book like Klara does. I feel like some of the higher quality luxury colouring books like this one is that have come out recently, I feel like there's been too many and that they're a little bit rushed, and you know, that could just be me, but Klara does one book a year, and I feel like she just gives her all to the one book, and it really shows. Now, obviously, some artists are really prolific and they can produce so many colouring books which are fantastic. But I feel like the really high quality ones, these really expensive ones and high-end collectors type colouring books, that they really, you know, need a little bit more loving than some of them are getting. But, you know, that could just be me. Everyone knows I adore Klara. And look at these gorgeous. Aren't they beautiful? Just everything is just so beautiful. You can just feel the love in her colouring books, truly. It's like little fairies come out and jump at you when you've got the pages in front of you. Like even seeing it on video, it's just so much better in person where all the little fairies are sprinkling their fairy dust on you. Look at the little upside down bat, and he's looking in, and we've got little mushrooms. And in the background we've got this little faint wallpaper. You've just got a little rose bath happening. Just stunning. I love this picture as well. I'm really trying to work out which picture I want to colour in, but I love them all. But some of them I can sort of see how I would colour straight away, whereas some of them I might need to think about for a while. Look, there's so much detail. And even though they're highly detailed, the illustrations aren't actually really small. There's just a lot on the page. Look, isn't this one adorable? Look at those beautiful strawberries. Oh, they're all beautiful. And we've got our little honeycomb dripping down and our gorgeous cherries. And look at this beautiful little fairy, and she's found the man of her dreams, I think. And here we have the two little ones in love up there. Maybe it's a parent and a child. And over here we've got the same. Isn't it gorgeous? So those little fairies are celebrating. I think they know how to have a good time, fairies. And here we've got our little house, and of course it's covered in little berries and mushrooms, and looks like mushroom soup on the windowsill cooling. And even they have to do their washing. And another gorgeous little fairy. And this one's just gorgeous. We've got some little males, which is always nice to see something different because the females are obviously more represented than the males. It's so much on the page, but yet the details aren't overly tiny. And look at this little bat wants to read his book. And we've got the moon and the cat going into the moon and the dog howling. So many great pictures. This one would be a lovely one if you're doing some autumn colouring, because you've got your lovely little pumpkins there. Then we've got our beautiful little fairy. Well, I think she's I think she might be a little girl, and she's just got a little birdie friend. But look at the beautiful detail on his feathers. Isn't he gorgeous? And so many ladybirds. I love ladybirds. They're so cute. I used to keep them when I was a kid. I'd get them off the plants and put them into little matchboxes and carry them around with me. And we've got this lovely little peek into the fairy house. Their little bunk bed and little lounge and all the little berries and fruits and whatnot. So this is what's going on in your garden. Now in all those nooks and crevices, there's all these little creatures living their little lives. And so we've got some mushroom potion by the looks of it over here, and some flower potion. And she's got a mushroom headdress or a mushroom house on her head. And these ones, when they're double like this with the two lots of elements, usually means that there's a double page over. So these ones are again great for the fall covering or autumn colouring. Got half-eaten apples. We've got our cute little kitties with a little tummy on it. And our little campfire oven and pumpkins and pears. And she's managed to keep the illustrations clear of the spine so that we don't have to colour in the ditch, which is a bonus. And over here, looks like we're getting onto the sweets, and we've got tambourine, we've got lots of candies, even the apple's happy. Maybe it's because it's not being made into a pie. And we've got pumpkin, like a lollipop stick. It looks like we've got some licorice all sorts over here, some sweets, gingerbread, and a little bat lolly over here. Very cute. I don't know how she thinks of this stuff. And look at this beautiful gingerbread man. And even the mushroom looks like he's done up with fluffy icing and stuff for Christmas. He's made into like a mushroom cake for Christmas. And the gingerbread man looks like he's got giant sweet snowshoes on. And so we've got our little mouse, and he's riding on the cat rocking horse. So it wouldn't be a cat rocking horse, it'd be a cat horse, I guess, or a cat rocker. All the little mouse presents. Christmas tree decorated with berries and lollies. Cute little cat on the mantle. Look at this cute little picture. Oh, so adorable. And look at all this food. Then we've got our little owl family. Oh, that's gorgeous as well, isn't it? Look at all the detail on those feathers. I can't wait to colour a picture in this book. I really can't. But I'm really struggling with which one to go with first. I might colour the cover picture or the nameplate page. I don't know. And then we've got our little mushroom houses here. And look at their beautiful coats. And lots of little sweets, and they've got their roller skates on, or their ice skates on, excuse me. It's a great one for Christmas. And here we've got our little mice making our hot cocoa, or that might be mulled wine or something like that with the cinnamon sticks in it. And our little gingerbread pudding man, lots of cakes. I'd like to go there for afternoon tea. And then we've got our beautiful gingerbread house. And look how cute the little gingerbread man's giving her a little cookie. And he's got a little cat cookie. They've got gifts and Yule logs and mushrooms and lots of ice biscuits. And of course the beautiful gingerbread house dripping in white icing. And then we've got this whole little village here of like gorgeous little houses and sweets and bundles of cookies and preserves, and all decorated with little bells on it for Christmas and little candy canes. And you can practice your candy canes and your lollipops and your bells over on one of these little illustrations. I just want to gobble up some of these pictures. They're making me very hungry. And then we've got these beautiful scenes, and look how gorgeous they are. We've got this whole little family, and look at his little elf child with his big little ears. And he's got a lovely little hot drink over there, and we've got all the baubles, and you can just imagine all the colours that you can use, and the metallics and the sparkles. And it's going to be wonderful. And look, they've got little beds in their little pods, and so many little trinkets and berries and fruit. It's just gorgeous. And her imagination is just amazing. I'm not just saying that because Klara gave me this book. I would have bought it anyway. And I will buy, from my own money, her original Czech book, because I buy all of them. All the other editions, because I love them. They are just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It's just boiling up the kettle, and look at this iced cake that they've got over there. I am actually starving looking at this picture. And what a beautiful book. Like all the little different events throughout, all the little celebrations for autumn or birth or Christmas. It really is gorgeous. And this one's got a little art set. Might have got it for Christmas. Fairy colour, number 4. And then we've got another gorgeous little illustration at the end. We just celebrate all the time, all year. Small floral dragon dragging a bag full of sweets. So I can think of nothing more beautiful than celebrating spring, summer, autumn, and winter, celebrating life itself in its purest form. Isn't that beautiful? It's just gorgeous. Now, I know some of you may not be able to get Klara's book just now, but she does have a lot of freebies on her website, which I'll link to below, and you can always download one of those and print it out and colour it in. So, a message from everyone from Little Gingerbread. I love winter and Christmas, but I also love spring in full bloom, or the fruits of summer or mushrooms of autumn. It's always the right time for gifts and celebrations, and it doesn't matter who you are or where you are, or where you happen to be, sorry. Love, yours, not only Christmas, Little Gingerbread. Isn't that gorgeous? And if you like Klara's little stories, she's actually got a little story on her website which relates to her first colouring book, and it gives you the story of it. So if you've got magical delights, you can read the little fairy story that she wrote to accompany it. And not only that, it's got pictures throughout. You can download it and you can colour in the pictures as well. So you don't need to miss out on Klara's work, even if you can't get this book or any of her previous ones at the moment, because she does have those freebies on her website that you can download. Now, excuse my voice, I am losing it a little bit. Now, this is the fairy doors, where you cut out the door, which I don't know, I really don't think I could cut Klara's book, and then put it on the little houses where we've got these little 2 pages, and you just insert, cut it out, colour it in, and insert the little tag to make the hinge on the door. And you can glue it in and whatnot if you wanted to. Now, I don't know, I don't think I could actually cut anything of Klara's, but we'll see, maybe one day. And unfortunately, it then has to end. Now, this back page is a bit different. It's not in her other books, and it's a whole checker screen of different little flowers in a checkerboard pattern. And I was wondering if it'd actually make a nice colour palette page if you weren't going to use the actual fairy doors and whatnot, but no, I don't think I could use that either. I'll probably use one of the elements because it's so pretty as a final page. Then we've got the black protective page, the hardback, and of course the cover art. And isn't it gorgeous? So let's choose a picture, and I'm going to test out my watercolor mediums on it, some Inktense, because people always ask me, can they use their Inktense or their watercolors or their Prismacolors or whatever. So I've grabbed a selection of pencils, budget, more high-end ones, and some watercolors and some Inktense and Caran d'Ache Now colors, and we'll find a little picture in here to colour in and test those out, so stay tuned. So I think the first ones I'll test out are the Derwent watercolours. I've never used these, so we'll have to crack open the packet. I think I bought these for my mother-in-law, and she used to be an artist and she sort of gave it up and she didn't want them, so I scored them. So we'll try out the 2 shades of purple on the lilies, on these little bells over here. So I've just got a little water brush. Now, I don't do much watercolouring. I'm a true beginner, so I'm probably doing it all wrong. The great thing about doing a watercolour base is that you can come back and shade it more with pencils, but you get to cover a larger area really quickly. And especially if you've got a hand injury like I have and you find colouring with pencils after a while really painful, then this is a much quicker way. It's like colouring over markers. It's a much quicker way of finishing the picture without, hurting your hands so much. But I've got a little bit of water on there and it's moving around the page quite easily. I would probably come in and shade over it with pencils, probably only because I don't know really any watercolour techniques and I'd probably want to deepen it up a bit, but I'm pretty happy with the coverage. And it went on the page without any problem. It didn't dissolve the printer's ink and make it go black and smudgy, which Klara's artwork is always, it just looks so beautiful and hand drawn. It just looks gorgeous. But I'd probably go in and add more colour to it with pencils once it's dried properly. Now, of course, you can't use alcohol markers on this book because the alcohol will absorb to the back of the page, but watercolours are fine. Even though it's not watercolour paper, if you're not heavy-handed with your water splattering it around everywhere and just go easy with it, then you won't peel the paper up and you can get that great coverage as I said just a minute ago. So there's the Derwent watercolours. Now I've got my Neo colours, and I don't often dive into my big set because I've actually got a lot of open stock that I've got, and I'm using that up first, but we'll give it a whirl. So I might go with this purple. It's mauve, and this one. We'll see what that looks like. Now, I've just got a bit of plastic packaging that was in something that I cut out, and I'm just going to scribble a little bit on, just onto the plastic, just to mix it up. You can, of course, go straight onto the page. They look pretty similar scribbled on. And it's going on no problem at all on the paper. It's actually far nicer effect, I think, than the Derwent pencils. They felt a little scratchy on the page, whereas this is just going so smooth. But I've put too much on in one place, so I'd have to darken that up with pencils, but as I said, I'm not used to using watercolours, so I've got a lot to learn here. And I feel like I need to dissolve that a lot more. I feel like it's already dried and I didn't get to move it around as much as I would have liked, but at least it's not dislodging the ink and it's not peeling the paper or buckling the paper or any of those things, so that's all good. Now, ideally though, when you do watercolours, wait for it to dry before you add more colour. But here I've added quite a lot of water to it, and you can see it on the page, sort of bubbling up a bit, if you like, only because I wanted to dissolve that bit that I felt was a bit dark. And the great thing is you can always dab it off if you feel like you've got too much on. But it wasn't buckling the page or anything like that, or peeling the page at all. It was just sitting on top of the page, which is good. I need to be a lot faster when I'm using those Neo colours. But look at the difference in vibrancy there. So maybe I put the watercolour, the pencils on too light, or maybe they're just not as pigmented as these beautiful crayons. And then the Inktense. So I don't use my 72 set of Inktense very much because I've still got a little set that I still use. And they last forever. They're like the Neo colours. They're such good value. So you can, of course, dissolve these in water first if you want. or you can use the sticks or the little pan set. I'm going on very softly on the page. This pencil needs sharpening badly, but I didn't want to put the sound of a sharpener in your ear first up in the day. One of the things I discovered about Inktense is that you can actually rub it out. So if you make a mistake, if you've got one of those Tombow erasers, you can actually rub it out when it's dry. So again, the water is pooling a little bit on the top because I've added quite a lot there. And a part of the reason that I'm adding a lot is I'm actually standing up, and I'm leaning over, so it's sort of hard to reach them. But I have to say that for me, they all go on the page. There's no problems at all with using the watercolor or the Inktense or the pencils. They're all going on the page perfectly. But for me, I really love the pigment in the Inktense and the Neo colors far more than the pigment in the Derwent ones. But that's just, personal preference. So let's try some pencils. So I've got my trusty Crayolas here, and I really like budget pencils for some reason. I don't know, I'm a cheap date. But I just thought we'd try those here. So we might. They're going on very smooth. And no problems at all going on the paper. They're not quite as pigmented as I would like, but we can always go a bit harder. And up close it does, look quite cute, but it's probably not as pigmented as I'd like. But I would like to try the Crayolas over the watercolour once that's dry, because I think that would actually go okay. So another one of my favourite budget pencils are my Colleens. I've got several sets of these in the 72 neons, and I've also got the 120 set as well, which they're just beautiful. I love my Colleens. They're not hugely expensive, and they're sort of like my Prismacolors, soft and creamy, but also they're not as waxy as the Prismacolors. And they're only student grade pencils, but they've got quite a lot of pigment in them for student grade, but they really are only student grade. They're budget pencils. They're going on the paper really well, and I'm really happy with the pigment that's coming out on this paper. Whereas the Crayolas do a good job on some colouring books as well, pigment wise, but these are doing a great job on this paper. So for me, the Colleens definitely win in this book over my Crayolas, but it could be just down to my colour selection. Yeah, the pigment on this is quite nice up close, but this one is far more vibrant. So next up I'll try my Prismacolors. They went on really well, lovely and soft and creamy. And the good thing about them is that you can go again if you want to and continue to add more. The paper is holding the pigment. So there's the Prismacolors. I'll try some polychromos. Now, I don't often use my polychromos because I find them hard on my hands. But depending on, the paper and whatnot, different people find different things harder and whatnot. So they're going on really well, lots of pigment coming out. And it might just be personal preference, but I still prefer my Prismacolors. But they certainly go on the paper well. And a lot of pencil buying it's just subjective, I might like, one thing and you try it and you don't like it at all. Let's see how we go adding another coat here. And on the second round, I'm enjoying the polys more. That first coat, I was missing my Prismacolors because Prismas are so soft, and if you've got a hand injury, it's just so much easier. I think last time I used my polys, my hand just hurt for days afterwards. But second round with these is a lot better, and I'm actually really enjoying working with them now. So we'll change our opinion. So that's the polys. So we've done the Crayola, the Colleen, the Prismas, the polys, the Derwent watercolors, the Caran d'Ache Neo colors, and the Inktense. So we might try the Tombow Erogitons and then call it a day. So I'll try also the Ergo Soft as well, just because I can't bear to have, one lonely flower. Or actually, we're going to have another lonely flower. I better find another brand. So these are the Tombow Erogiton pencils, or Irritant. Initially, I'm not liking the feel on the paper. Feels a bit scratchy. I also don't feel like I'm getting as much pigment out of them as I normally do when using these. They're beautiful colours in the Tombow sets. They're quite a hard pencil though, so they work well with different types of paper, but to be honest, I'm not feeling it on this one. But maybe on a second coat. When they're going on, they feel rough. I don't think the filler and the material that makes up those pencils is as suitable for this paper as the other ones that I've used. It is still very pretty colours though, and it does look lovely. So I'll try the Ergo Soft. So, what have we got? I liked this so much. I think years ago, Jonah Basford sent me a set of Ergosoft with one of her colouring books, and they were a set of 24, and because I've got this wrist injury, I really liked using them because they're ergonomic and they're easier to hold the barrel, and I liked them so much I went and bought this set of 36, which from memory I had to get from the UK, which was when they allowed shipping to the colonies. But they're well worth it because sometimes, you know, my hand hurts and the Ergosofts are good to use. But they go on the paper very nicely, far nicer sensation than my Tombos, which is surprising because my Tombos are beautiful pencils, but you know, they're just not for this book or with my style for me. You know, and we all hold the pencil differently. We're all different, you know, so what works for me might not be the case for you. But yeah, I'm very happy with the pigment on that one, and I'm also happy with the way it went. So I'll try another layer and see if it goes any better second time around. Yeah, I'm happy. They feel like they make a noise when they're on the paper, but they're actually really nice and easy to use, and the colours are quite nice as well. So again, for a budget of brand pencil, I think they're doing really well. So far my least favourite is the Crayolas and the Erogitants, which is surprising because I usually love those two pencils, but just not for me in this book. And actually this does look a lot prettier when it's outside of the film. I'm just looking at through the lens, and it doesn't look as vibrant on screen as it does in person. So we'll try one more so I can finish up that flower. So I've gone with the Schiffer Farben for the last flower. I realised I'd used up quite so much of some of those pencils. These are going on the paper really nicely, and they're also producing a lot of pigment as well, but they feel really creamy on the paper. So actually really enjoying using these ones. And they can take an extra coating with the paper. So yeah, I really like those ones. That's it from me. I think I've tested quite a few little products there. If there's something that I missed and that I have, just let me know and I'll, you know, test it out again on another page. So that's it from me. Until next time, happy colouring.